What if you could have a career where the opportunities are as vast as our nation, where it's not about mission statements, but a shared mission? At U.S. Customs and Border Protection, we go beyond to protect more than borders. From ship to shore, air to ground, cities to local communities, CBP agents and officers are keeping people safe. Join U.S. Customs and Border Protection and go beyond for something far greater than yourself. Learn more at cbp.gov/careers.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
The 3 Down Greencast is brought to you by the Pile of Bones Brewing Company. New taproom now open at Sass Drive in Cameron. Well, welcome inside the 3 Down Greencast with myself, Joel Gasson, and John Fraser. Yes, we are recording after a bye week. We don't always, but we figured there were a few things to touch on. Nothing really super pressing, but worth it nonetheless. Most importantly, as always, as we, of course, open with the topic that is the most closest and dearest to our hearts every episode. Maybe it's not necessarily the most important about our nation, but just dumb stuff we kind of like to do and talk about. One of our favorite times of the year is once again upon us. No, not back to school. It is, of course, the Grey Cup Grease-Up.
That is right. I'm so excited for this. My feed on Twitter has been inundated with a bunch of people in the Grey Cup fit-up. So it's time to bring it back. Fellow fat guys at heart, fat women at heart, fat animals at heart. The 3 Down Nation Greencast Grey Cup Grease-Up. You'll be very proud of me, Joel. I had a very greasy sandwich yesterday, and for supper on, was it Monday, I had 2 Whoppers. Well, they got the 2 for $7. That way, you don't screw around with fries. You get the 2 Whoppers, you go home. You crack a beer, it's a win-win, right? It's a win-win, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Myself, I can tell you that I had some snacks last night that I know you would definitely approve of. As I had, we went to Costco 2 days ago.
Ooh, yes.
And we picked up the tub of, I know what is one of your favorites, because it was at my father-in-law's place for the wedding, the queso dip.
Oh. That queso dip is so good. I believe at your father-in-law's place, I was stationed the entire evening betwixt the, display of Pile of Bones pints and the queso dip. And that's just kind of where I lived. It was good. People visited. There was a nice rotation. And I'm just like, queso dip and beer.
One thing we learned recently about this queso dip, I don't know if you know or not, it actually says on the lid, enjoy warm.
What?
Yeah. So we've always been eating cold until a few times ago I actually saw it on the lid. I was like, hey, it says to enjoy warm. Now, it's delicious cold. Throw it in the microwave for about a minute, and it all gets all melty and gooey and amazing. It's just even better.
I might have that for lunch tomorrow. I might stop at Costco and not get my usual Costco hot dog. And instead just get some queso dip. Oh, and to continue the theme of the grease-up, family pizza today. All meat and then the all steak and barbecue.
Yeah, we had tacos last night, and then we made some kind of chili taco today. That was pretty good as well.
I like it. See, I feel like you and I can do the grease-up because, we both already have lost a significant amount of weight, so we're allowed to get fat when everybody else is getting skinny, right? Is that can I use that as justification in my head?
Sure, why not? I guess I don't know. I feel like I can justify a little bit because I'm basically standing at work all day and picking stuff up and putting it back down basically for a living. So right. I don't really need to do a whole lot of working out, and I still got my sports and stuff that I play, and all that's fun too. But when you stand all day, it really makes a pretty big difference in terms of your overall health, so I've noticed anyway.
I don't do any of that shit, and somehow I've lost 30 pounds, so either I'm dying, or, I got my workout machine. I got it, and then I curl, curling's coming up, so that counts as, even though I'm playing third this year, so that it's only half, so, Fat John might be back by Christmas. and of course, lots of beer, of course, at the curling rink, which starts in a few weeks, or the beer drinking, which I'm not gonna lie, I might be a few ahead of you tonight, there, Joel. Got the kid to bed a little early, and I've just been crushing beers, waiting for you to free up. So.
I guess it's also part of the Grey Cup grease up because you need something to wash down all that greasy, delicious goodness. John, what's in the glass this week?
In the glass this week is the Nokomis Hoppy Anniversary. You recommended it.
Yes.
It seemed to have disappeared from most of the liquor stores I go to in Saskatoon for a while. Obviously, in very high demand. It's very good.
It was a small seasonal that they released a small batch of, and once it all went out right away, and now once it's gone at various stores. So
right, which actually does lead me back to another story here in a moment. But the Nokomis Hoppy Anniversary had a bunch of those. Had one sitting in my fridge left over. However, I did have to text you. You were the only person. It was my wedding anniversary on Sunday, and you, Joel Gaston, were the only person I texted.
Wow.
Phone was.
Well, I hope you wouldn't just text your wife "Happy Anniversary" and then move on with your day.
True. I was with her and my family the whole day.
Yes, of course.
After texting the family and stuff in the morning, we went out for dinner, and it was like phone in the pocket, except at one point, we're at a restaurant, we're at the Keg, and they bring out the drink menu, and it says, Rebellion's Hazy IPA. And I said, I got ya. And after my wife translated, that means he wants one. They brought it for me. It was delightful, and it's sitting there, and I'm like, Lacey, I know my phone's in my pocket. I gotta text Joel. And she completely understood. She's like, okay, you text Joel. And I send you the picture of the Hazy IPA.
You did. I can confirm that happened.
Yeah, I'm all excited. I got like a Hazy IPA. Hadn't seen it in a while. And then I go to order another one, and it turns out I drank the last one in Saskatoon.
Yeah. They were probably excited that someone finally ordered it so it would be out of the fridge.
Fair, because I don't know if people that go to the Keg are definitely beer connoisseurs or making the mistake. See, I didn't make the mistake. That was the only beer I had. I switched to rye, then ate way too much steak, then passed out of my bed while making a low moaning noise because I was having a food coma.
That sounds like a perfect grease up kind of day.
Oh, yeah. I'm on a roll this week.
For me, we are doing a first here for the 3 Down Greencast for the amount of beers we've mentioned and consumed recording this podcast. I've never actually taken a sip of a beer for the first time on this program.
Ooh.
And so today we are going to do that because at my day job at Happy Hour Cold Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Pilot Butte, we got finally a shipment of Medicine Hat Brewing Company's Creamsicle Ale.
Ooh.
Now, this is a seasonal one, small batch, not around very often, so I figured I'd pick it up. I had heard some good things from some coworkers who already went ahead and bought one before I did. That's okay. It's good because, my coworker Lindsay, she was very much in, very Coors Light, Coors Clam kind of thing. We finally converted her to good beer, so that's good.
Nice.
Yeah, so I haven't tried this before. I've heard good reviews. It's a seasonal. It's a part of their patio series. If you're saying, hey, Joel, but you're not drinking local beer, I'm not. I do occasionally dabble in stuff from other places because I like to try it. It's relatively fresh for coming through the SLGA monopoly that it has to go through to get it. But there is a local connection as their head brewer actually used to be the head brewer at Bushwhacker at one point in time. So,
interesting.
Yes, so there is still a little bit of a local connection with a story. They actually also have, you can find it more around other places. They have a dry hop sour that they collaborated with Rebellion on that one. So,
ooh, very nice.
Yeah, so it's cool. So here we go. It's a creamsicle, as like the little popsicle, the orange and the white popsicle or whatever. There's been a few other ones around. Like I know Rebellion, I think, has something like that right now, seasonally available around for pints and growler fills. But
yes,
here we go.
All right.
Yeah, it's good. It's very. It definitely has that creamsicle taste to it. It's orange, but it's not like super like pow in your face orange. But it's got that like sweet little creamy afternote that you get from the creamsicle too. Which is impressive to do in a beer. I always find the cream is the hard part. You can get the ice cream flavor, and then the cream flavor coming afterwards is good. So that's from Medicine Hat Brewing? Yeah, Medicine Hat Brew Co.
Interesting.
Yeah, they definitely. Yeah, they've had some of their stuff I haven't liked, some of it I have. So I think you'll start to see them pop up a little bit more around here now. I believe they have some representation in the province now. So
And they're not like those other assholes from Alberta that just, sell a bunch of cheap flavored bathtub booze.
No. Oh, sorry, quote unquote Alberta. By Alberta we actually mean Wisconsin. So
that's right. And yes, that's right. But totally the lowest legal price for shit out of your bathtub from Wisconsin. Flavored rye beverage. Who could I possibly be talking about?
It's just one of the greatest mysteries that will just never go unsolved.
We really haven't shit on Minhas for a while, so I'm glad I got a chance to do it.
On to actual football conversation, as I'm sure
right.
We've lost basically probably our entire audience at this point. So we're used to around here in Saskatchewan when the Riders go on a bye week, especially after 2 of them, something generally happens.
Yeah.
And we've gone through 2 Rider bye weeks now. Last time we didn't even record after the bye week. That's how little happened.
Yeah.
This week, again, really nothing happened. I mean, Brett Lowther was back at practice today. There's some questions about whether he'll play. Some other bodies are back. Mika Johnson wasn't back. That's normal football kind of stuff that you're dealing with kind of on a regular basis anyway. There wasn't like John Carter being cut or a coaching move or this or that. It's been calm, and it's been, I mean, from our perspective as people who pretend to talk about stuff that we know about, it kind of sucks. But from an organizational and English standpoint, it's kind of refreshing how quiet it is and how everything seems to be running smoothly, and they kind of have their stuff in a row for a change. Yeah.
You're very right. Our years, both of us covering this football team, we're used to, bye week something happen that they try to sneak the news in, like you had mentioned before we recorded. The Duron Carter release was during a bye week, and I was almost just waiting for something to happen, and it didn't. And I think that is a good sign for the team, for the organization, that, there's some stability. It's not as volatile as things were before. Because, it's a good sign. If you're not trying to hide... Because okay, let's peel back the curtains a little bit here, too, for the listening base. You and I, again, both being former reporters on the Rider Beat, during the bye week, not necessarily everybody's in town.
No.
So if you are to make some sort of move, it's not like you can ask about it for a week at practice. It's not like you can find out more information and come back and build on the story, because during the bye week, it's basically you get the email, we've done this, we're doing a media avail at this, and that's it. So it's a very good way to limit the flow of information on a story you may not want to drag out for a week, such as the Duron Carter release, right? So you kind of want things, you kind of want to announce things that aren't going to be popular during the bye week, and nothing has happened, which leads you and I to probably correctly assume that there's some harmony in this organization all the way from the top down to the bottom, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, and I heard this conversation come up a little bit, that the Riders kind of feel like the Riders again. Like Jeremy O'Day and Craig Dickinson fit the culture that have kind of existed around here a little bit longer.
The code of honor days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just a better vibe for everyone. I still think, in a way, the Chris Jones era was probably still necessary.
Yes.
For some hard decisions that had to be made, and hopefully the organization has learned that sometimes you still do have to make those hard decisions. But
yes,
overall, it feels like things are trending in a better direction. They're smoother. That doesn't guarantee anything for the rest of the season, but there's a structure in place. It's stable, and if the organization shows that they can commit to this, this direction, this group, and let it grow, that they'll probably actually be onto something.
Yeah, and I mean, stability is a good thing. You look at, some of the most best organizations, in pro sports, your Pittsburgh Steelers, the New England Patriots. It seems like there's kind of this stability to it, right? So, I mean, it's a weird take to say that no news is good news, but coming from the shit shows that we've had in previous years that you and I were covering, that no news I can tell you from somebody who talks about the team perspective is definitely good news in this case.
Mm-hmm. There's been so little news, really, that the biggest topic that kind of is facing the Saskatchewan Roughriders right now is more so the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah.
And we all know the news out of Winnipeg right now, where Matt Nichols is going to be gone for, they're saying, at least 4 weeks, probably more closer to 6, maybe longer. We don't really know for sure. They're being a little more open about this injury than they have some other injuries in Winnipeg in the past, at least.
Right.
They've given a bit of a timeline to it. But regardless, if he's on the 6-game injury list right now is Matt Nichols, and the Riders are set to play them 3 times over that 6 games. And that seems like pretty good timing for the Riders to face the team that they are trying to now chase down for first place in the West, because I believe that door is now firmly open with the Calgary Stampeders now at a 4-loss team for the first time in like 100 years. And, you know, we have the injury in Winnipeg with Matt Nichols, and, you know, Edmonton's good, but I don't think they're unbeatable. So it's there. And I don't think we would have thought that earlier in the season, but the door is open for them to, if everything falls into place and they continue to play well, the opportunity for them to finish first in the West and get a bye to the West Final is there.
Well, absolutely. You're about to face a team 3 times in the next 6 weeks that doesn't have their starting quarterback, their number 1 quarterback, right? I mean, that's not saying that Winnipeg is not still a very good football team, but
they're not going to be easy wins still if they can get them. You could be playing the BC Lions 3 times over 6 weeks, and odds are they might win 1, because that's just football.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely bang on with that, Joel. It's such a hard sport to win 3 times against a team, but you're right. Like, those 3 games could very well now decide the West Division as the Riders continue to get healthier and trend upwards. And again, our boy Cody Fajardo looks like, you know, the real deal. I did have to give you more love when I was on CTV Morning Live this week, representing our podcast, pointing out again that you said Fajardo was going to be good. So I just have to steal your good takes because God knows I have none of them. But with Winnipeg, and to me, Winnipeg is fascinating right now because before Matt Nichols went down, there was talk of, you know, some rumblings of, what if Fajardo does go to the XFL? You know, is Chris Streveler maybe a guy that, you know, gets a look and things like that? So now Chris Streveler is going to have an opportunity to prove that he can chuck the ball. Mm-hmm. And he's going to have a very good team behind him. Now, that being said, I don't envy the position of Winnipeg because, let's be honest, 4 or 5 losses are, even with Matt Nichols, are not out of the realm of possibility for this team. They're playing Edmonton Friday. Edmonton, who's shown to be a very good football team.
Yeah.
The Riders, you know, although they're doing their job against the bad teams, the Riders are, I am comfortable at this point of the year, Joel, calling them a good football team.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in a bit.
But exactly. So I think Winnipeg is now extremely vulnerable. First place in the West is going to be an extreme crapshoot, and the Riders are right in the thick of it because they're staring down the team that they get to play. And I mean, and meanwhile, you got what should be a gimme against Ottawa, and the team you're hunting down is playing Edmonton and then has to play you 3 times. So this Matt Nichols injury has I would say, opened. You've said it. The door is wide open now for the Riders to get into a position to finish first in the West Division, which is something that started this season I almost would have called unfathomable. But here we are.
And to be fair, the door is, I think, open for everyone. This isn't like the Riders have control of their destiny here. Well, I guess in a way by facing Winnipeg, but the door is open for Edmonton. It's open for Calgary. Like there's no. For a few weeks in about 5 weeks or so into the season, it felt like it was Winnipeg's division to lose.
Right.
But now, no, that door is completely wide open now, and who is going to step up and take it? And that's what's going to be fascinating over the next 6 weeks or so, is to see how this kind of plays out a little bit. The funny part about this whole thing, not that there's anything funny about players getting hurt, was it was just a week ago, it sounded like Matt Nichols was allegedly the worst quarterback on the face of the earth, and now Bomber fans are freaking out because Matt Nichols isn't playing quarterback. Well, if he's so bad, shouldn't you be just fine?
Yeah. That's the funny thing, and that's what I pointed out to a few of my Winnipeg buddies that I often text with every single Bomber game. That wait a minute, weren't we just talking about how this guy's terrible and can do nothing but check down? And I think I like. And again, I'm stealing your point.
I gotta stop giving you all my good stuff before we start recording.
You really do, but at least I give you. At least I'm a good enough friend and co-host to give you all credit for it.
Yeah.
I don't just pretend like these are my ideas, but your point before we started recording was that they need to go full Baltimore Ravens. I mean, just let Stravler run, let Harris run, let the defense and special teams win you some games, right? And the more I think about it, the more I'd love to see Winnipeg go back to like the old style like single wing offense and have like 10 pass attempts for a year. That might be their that might be their best chance of winning.
Yeah, it could be like watching Army Navy every single day.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for college football to come back. And it's
Saturday,
funny
baby.
Oh, that's right. It is back Saturday. That excites me.
Yep.
Mostly because a lot of Saturdays we're not super busy in the fall, so I can just sit there and watch college ball.
Anyway,
but yeah, this has opened the door. I think a Rider team is flying high. There's organizational confidence, and here you are with a chance to take on the team ahead of you without their starting quarterback for 3 times in the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's really going to at least determine whether the Riders have a shot at a home playoff game or not. If things go sideways in over those 3 games and they lose 2 of them, say, it'll probably be tough for them to get a home playoff game. I think the way, because I just can't, every time I look at the standings, I just can't get over how crazy it is at the top of the West Division right now.
Yes.
Like, you know it, but then you'd actually look at the graphic that the CFL puts out every week and you're like, huh.
Right.
Because there's BC at the bottom, and then there's all these other teams that are like really good and close together, and then you got the East where you got Hamilton and everyone else. And you're just like, wow, like we knew the West was going to be tight. We knew the West was going to be crazy this year. It still just feels weird, like just how crazy it actually is at the top of the West Division. And I don't think it's necessarily a lot of really good teams. They're good teams, but the CFL right now, at least at this point of the season, really to me feels to be lacking that truly elite team.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Do you remember? I remember the 2011 season, and there was. I remember Winnipeg winning the East, I think, at the time, with a 10-8 record.
Yeah.
And I think the whole league, even the West, I think the best team might have been 12-6.
Yeah.
I like parity. I do.
I like parity when teams are good, but it feels like every team has a pretty good flaw right now. And a lot of it is forced parity based on the number of injuries we've seen so far, too.
Right, yeah, this is an entirely different season. Who knows if Bo Levi Mitchell is actually healthy? But I don't know. I like it. I like it that I almost found it boring, and I shouldn't say boring, but when Calgary was that good for so many years. And Montreal was that good for so many years that you knew your team's ass was probably getting kicked by one of these guys. And it just, to me now, everything's a crapshoot. Like gun to your head.
There is some merit to that too, but I think at the end of the day, I like to see elite teams perform, and I like to see elite teams play in the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, I don't. I like every game having relevancy and every game being decent and every game not, knowing who's going to get thumped, right? I thoroughly enjoy that as a guy that
I don't know, the last couple of weeks, as some in college football circles like to say, there's been a lot of chalk the last couple of weeks. There's been other than the Montreal over Calgary, there's been a lot of pretty predictable games recently based on my 7-1 record on Pick'em over the last 2 weeks.
Ooh, Joel has all the good takes. John doesn't know shit.
That's like the tagline of our
podcast. I think if we put together an advertising package, that would basically be it.
Put a billboard somewhere?
I don't got the dough to put a billboard anywhere. like kudos on that other Rider podcast. Kudos on the guys from Piffles, because like,
yeah, we can mention them. We're not really competition. It's fine.
Absolutely. Like, and honestly, they're a great bunch of dudes. I'd love to sit down. I haven't had a beer with any of them. I'd love to. But I can tell you, the Piffles boys, I briefly interviewed for a position in the billboard business. And the ad rates on that, holy shit. Like I think I said to you, if I had that kind of dough to spend on a billboard, I wouldn't be spending it on a billboard, but maybe I'm selfish. I don't know. I like it. Those guys do a ton of really good work, and like Greg's design work on it. It's awesome. It's a well-placed billboard, but you know, the billboard at Elphinstone and right by the stadium, that's a pretty penny. Like yep. I hope that Greg or Saf didn't have to like sell their kidney to get it, but good on those boys.
Yeah. Back to the conversation we're actually trying to have here.
Right.
And our idea of no elite teams in this league brings us to, I think, kind of our final point of this podcast. It might be a little bit of a shorter episode based on the Riders doing nothing lately.
Right.
Is where exactly does this team stand? Because behind the curtain again, for the 3 Down Nation power rankings every week, there's I think 9 of us that we put in our own rankings and we rank them, and the average, the team with the lowest score finishes first, and blah 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 blah.
Right.
And I've never seen it so all over the place on our spreadsheet as I have right now.
Right.
And that's, I think, especially true of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who have been, in full disclosure, I've put them second the last couple of weeks for a few reasons. Mm-hmm. Number one, the fact that they're on the longest active winning streak in the league. Yep. To me, I think means something. They have a healthy quarterback that is playing well. And also, do I really think they're the second best team in the league right now? I don't know, but I wanted to make sure they were bumped up a little bit from some people who had them like 5th or even 6th.
Right.
Because I can't wrap my head around, and even the CFL's, like CFL.ca power rankings has them 6th. And I'm just like, what? They literally have the longest active winning streak in the league right now. And you may believe that they've beaten no one this year because Hamilton was playing Dane Evans and they got schooled by Calgary and they haven't looked that good in some of their wins. But the fact remains they still have the longest active winning streak right now. And to me, power rankings, simply put, are a snapshot in time. They aren't about past results. They aren't about future results. They aren't about what you think is going to happen in the future. You may believe that the Riders are going to lose every game the rest of the season, and that's just fine. Right now, I have a hard time taking anyone seriously who does not have this team at least as the 4th best team in the league.
That's a good rant, and I'm with you on that. You're right, and I always take power rankings as the who would you least like to play right now. Yeah. And you made all the points, Joel. I mean, the team is relatively healthy, minus a couple guys, but they've managed to overcome that. The quarterback is playing well. They are on a winning streak. And, there is one thing that I think momentum and winning streaks and confidence carries over more in football than just about any other sport I've ever been around. I have a hard time right now. Like again, we're talking right now. We're talking with the current state of injuries. We're talking with Matt Nichols being gone in Winnipeg, with Jeremiah Mazzoli being gone in Hamilton, with Bo Levi Mitchell looking like he's going to be out for at least another large chunk of the season here in Calgary.
Yeah.
I would maybe right now put Edmonton ahead of Saskatchewan just because I like the offense better.
Yeah, I can live with that, yeah.
But I have a hard time saying that right now, as of today, that Calgary's better than Saskatchewan, that Winnipeg's better than Saskatchewan, that Hamilton's better than Saskatchewan, that Montreal's better than Saskatchewan, and, well, we have the 2 dumpster fires in the CFL, right? So, to me, they might be the second best team in the league right now. Does that mean I think that when some guys get healthy that they are going to assuredly be in the West Final? No. But I think right now, if I was to be in the power rankings game, which I'm not, because I'm only kind of like the redheaded stepchild of the 3 Down Nation crew, and I accept that. I like it. It's fine. I should make that clear. I have a hard time putting them lower than 2 right now.
I think those are fair points, and I can accept a world where people believe that maybe Winnipeg or Hamilton are still better teams despite some different things overall. I can accept that.
I would agree.
I think there's in whatever order you want to put them in. I think this is in no particular order. Winnipeg, Hamilton, Edmonton, and Saskatchewan right now are currently the best 4 teams in the league.
Yes.
And Calgary can easily get back into that conversation very quickly with a couple of wins. Like it's not difficult. They're not so far behind. Like they're basically a 4B. They're just right on the edge there, just because they lost to Montreal in pretty weird fashion the other day, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're there, and everyone else isn't. Like Ottawa's a weird team that I still kind of expect to be better than they are, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Toronto, I think, is actually trending in a pretty decent direction. They're not going to be good for any stretch of the imagination. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they look like a team that can compete, and BC's just a dumpster fire.
Oh, yeah. BC might be one of the worst teams in all 3 facets of the game. I've watched in a very, very long time. It's funny that Toronto seems to always trend upwards as soon as the pressure's off and they realize they suck and they've been beaten up a little bit. Ottawa, and again, that brings us to Saskatchewan's opponent. And I get it, they beat them, in Cody Fajardo's first real meaningful appearance, but I don't like what they have going on. I don't like the quarterbacking situation. Their defense isn't very good. I would be shocked if the Grey Cup champion didn't come from those 4 teams that we've discussed. Like, you could tell me right now that Winnipeg, Hamilton, Edmonton, or Saskatchewan wins the Grey Cup, and I would be 0% shocked. Calgary would also not really shock me, but I definitely think that we're not going to see Bo Levi again this year. Just the mystery and the player himself saying, I don't feel right. So to me, Calgary led by Nick Arbuckle will be a bit of a shock.
Not a huge one, though.
Not a huge one, but a small one. Like again, I would, if I was a betting man, those are the 4 teams I'm putting money down on to win the Grey Cup this year. Calgary, if you gave me some good odds. The other ones, I wouldn't even waste the investment.
No, there's no point on the other teams. I think it's pretty clear at this point, the 6 playoff teams. We're going to get a crossover. It's just a matter of really is where they're going to fall in the West. In all likelihood, you're going to see the East final in Hamilton, the East semifinal in Montreal, and then how does it play out in the West and who crosses over? It's basically kind of the race down the stretch here.
Yeah, and I think, too, and as we've talked about, thanks to the Matt Nichols injury, I think the Riders' opportunity is going to be there to host a home playoff game. Who knows? Even get the bye to the West Final, but these next few weeks are going to be crucial. You got to do your job you have to do your job against Ottawa.
And this is the one thing they've done well this year compared to what we've maybe seen in the past. And this is something for some reason people are knocking them about is who have they beaten? Well, yeah, okay, they've beaten a lot of bad teams, but they've actually beaten the bad teams. We've experienced a lot. We've seen a lot in Saskatchewan over the years where they play the bad team and completely mess the bed. And they don't do it every single time against every single bad team, but they usually have 1 or 2 signature games a year where they lose to a team they really shouldn't lose to. And so far, they haven't done that, really.
Well, and you could argue the other teams of the West Division have done exactly that. Winnipeg gave Toronto their first win, and although it was a great game, and I think Montreal is a little underrated, Montreal shouldn't have beat Calgary.
Not in Calgary, at least, no.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Saskatchewan has done a pretty good job this year of, all right, this is a bad Argos team. Let's take them out behind the woodshed.
Their only kind of bad loss was to Ottawa, but we didn't really know they were this bad at that point. Like the week two Ottawa was a very different team than what we're seeing now.
Oh, 100%, 1,000,000%. You can tell that the defense is more comfortable. The special teams have patched up some holes. Cody Fajardo has become confident with his
I'm just talking about Ottawa being a completely different team too.
Oh yeah, no, they've seemingly just jumped off a cliff.
Yeah, like everything they are doing just goes completely sideways, and they've shuffled the chairs on the Titanic here by giving Joe Paupow the play calling duties now.
Get ready for lots of behind the line of scrimmage screens, Joel.
Yeah, and then Dom Davis is still going to throw behind them, and there's going to be a fumble. So,
oh, I can't wait! I can't wait for the inevitable Cameron Judge fumble recovery somehow.
Yeah, and the only thing that is holding me back on saying everything that should happen in this football game is the fact that Rob Van Stone has written a column declaring the Riders are guaranteed to win against Ottawa. and we know when Rob Van Stone guarantees something, it is like a John Fraser hot take.
Yeah, it's not going to turn out well, and I respect the hell out of Rob, but yeah. So if they lose, 100% this one's on Van Stone.
Not John Fraser for once.
For once, even though I do think they wait. If I guarantee a win, will that cancel out Van Stone's guaranteeing a win? Like a negative multiplied by a negative makes a positive?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Should I try it? Should we try this?
Maybe.
All
worth
right.
a shot.
It is the super guaranteed, mega terrific John Fraser guaranteed win night this week against Ottawa because Ottawa sucks and they're a dumpster fire and woo, guaranteed win night. Take it to the bank, invest your life savings, bet on the Riders, and you'll come out okay because it's John Fraser guaranteed win night. Yeah.
You said that so enthusiastically.
I'm trying to force a bad take. I really do think they are going to win. I really do.
What we have learned here, at least now, is you actually can't force a bad take. Your takes are actually come from a place of what you actually think at the time, and then they just blow up spectacularly.
I think that doesn't make it any better.
It does from my perspective.
That's fair. At one point, I did actually think Johnny Manziel was going to be a good quarterback.
Because there's really nothing I hate more in like sports talk circles today is people who go on whatever medium they're on and say stuff they don't actually believe for reaction.
Oh no, I believe all the stupid shit that comes out of my own mouth.
At Kroger Pharmacy, care is what's most convenient for you. Care is being here when you need us. We're open evenings and weekends. Care is helping you save more. Most insurance plans and discount cards are accepted at your local Kroger Pharmacy. Care is saving you time by managing your prescriptions online. You can request refills, check order status, and more. Care is convenience that works for everyone. Kroger Health, a world of care is in store. Services and availability vary by location. Age and other restrictions may apply. For coverage, consult your health insurance company. Visit the pharmacy or our site for details.
Every day, we rise, challenging ourselves to work for what we believe in. At U.S. Border Patrol, protecting our borders is more than a job. It's a calling. Agents answer the call, working together to keep our country and communities safe. If you're ready for a new mission, join U.S. Border Patrol and go beyond. Learn more at cbp.gov/careers.